Hey, we are live. Didn't mean to scare you, John Paduchak.
Right.
Welcome to this week's Marketing Happy Hour. Actually, it's going to be a twofer. This is our one for the week. My name is Dr. Christopher Vogelmann of Maximize Your Media, our digital agency where we help people with social media posting, Facebook advertising, Instagram advertising, the tube of you, as well as all things Zookbook and Pinterest. And with me, as always, is my able-bodied co-host.
How you doing? It's John Paduchak. Good to see you all today. Yeah, so I'm John Paduchak. I'm a video marketing expert in the Boston area, and I work on live video. And Targeted Net Solutions is our digital agency where we do all kinds of cool video and social stuff.
Video social stuff. So how social are you with your video, your cool video social
Video is social.
Video is social. Video is social. Social is video. And speaking of social, you know, my sister Michelle, who is very social in and of herself.
Yes.
And I won't describe what we encountered last night other than to say that she sent a gift box to my lovely wife, Maggie. Her birthday was yesterday. And so we celebrated with sushi and tacos, which is our tradition, not necessarily a Mexican tradition. But you will find lots of sushi places in Mexico. Strange, but true. But contained within that wonderful package were buffalo socks.
Buffalo socks.
Do you have Patriot socks?
Probably.
I was going to say, because the Patriots sucks.
Man, they're having a rough time this year, that's for sure. It's all right, though. It's all right.
Go Bills.
They'll get it. They'll get it. It gives Buffalo a chance.
Tampa Bay, and the Buffalo Bills in Super Bowl.
That would be interesting.
It would be very interesting, actually.
Very interesting.
In which case, I would actually predict Tampa Bay would win. But that's,
even though Brady's in New England, I'm still a huge fan.
I'm a diehard Buffalo Bills fan. See, you're going to go through what I used to go through, which was perhaps a 4-12 or 6-10 season.
Possibly. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be that horrible. We're down, but not out.
Hey, speaking of things that aren't that horrible, we have been toying with the idea. We've been experimenting for what, more than a month?
More than a month.
6 weeks, more than a month. So, and sometimes we let marketing experiments go for maybe 6 months or 3 months or something. But we have concluded through our series of experiments. And remember, marketing is nothing but a series of experiments. Some go really well and some spectacularly fail. This one hasn't spectacularly failed, but we have come to realize that changing from Friday to Wednesday, even though we thought it was going to be a good move and bring more people in, actually had the opposite effect, where we found fewer people tuning in live, even though the number of viewers for the replays was actually the same. So in our attempt to go back to the good old days, which were still, you know, they weren't pre-pandemic, we're going to be switching back to Fridays.
We are.
Hard to believe. This is like when the network changes your favorite show from like a Monday night to a Thursday night. Just think of this as going from Hump Day to Friday.
Exactly. The good news is we aren't going off the air. We're just moving.
We're moving. We're pulling up that U-Haul. Pulling up that U-Haul and moving to Friday.
Exactly.
I put this on here because I just, it's funny because we talked about this, whether we're going to do this coming Friday or not, but we are. And so as you can see, I'm trying to read now, the Marketing Happy Hour, Fridays at 5 Eastern, 4 Central, 3 Mountain, 2 Pacific, and 10 Hawaiian Standard Time. Now, mind you, we're going through a time change this coming weekend, aren't we?
I think so.
Yeah, we're going through a time change where it's going to be, we're going to fall back instead of spring forward, spring ahead, fall back. You'll get an extra hour of sleep, but lose an hour of daylight in the nighttime.
I think Arizona's smart.
And Arizona's smart. Hawaii too, because Hawaii doesn't change. So Hawaiian Standard Time will actually change though to 11 instead of the previous time, from what I can remember. No, actually, it's going to be a little different. It's currently 11. I get my time zones mixed up. To pay no attention to that. you Honolulu people, because I just realized I got the math wrong. It's actually currently, if it's a 2 p.m. thing. Oh no, actually that's true. This coming Friday, it is 10 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, still.
Yeah.
But then the following week, it will be 11 a.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. Man, so many time zones, so little time. And for those of us the others of you who are seeing us in the UK and Australia or anywhere else, you get to figure it out, because I'm not going to put all these 24 time zones down here.
There's a clock for that.
There's a clock for that.
The world clock.
It used to be Apple. There was an app for that.
Probably.
Hey, so what else is going on here? I don't know if I can remove the scrolling thing, and we'll get a little closer.
We can. Ooh, fun with frames.
So what's happening? What's happening in the world? You want to go back to that? What's happening in the world of live video marketing?
What's happening in the world of live video marketing? Man, we got a new class coming out.
You got what?
We got a new class coming out.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, but we're going to announce that later, because we have had a couple of delays in terms of our launch schedule. You know, it's funny. Well, it's funny when you have this whole time of year, because I remember in the bricks and mortars world, they would tell us, if you're opening up a new chiropractic practice, dental practice, medical practice, they said the last time you should do your advertising campaign is November 15th, because after that, it just gets crazy with holiday ads and nobody's paying attention because they're all traveling for Thanksgiving and this and that, and you're going to get lost in the shuffle. And they used to recommend that you... What was that?
This might be a different year.
Well, it is a different year. I'm totally convinced. Although marketing is a series of experiments, so we could prove to be totally wrong. Yeah. So I do believe, though, that we're headed to something that's a little different, because most people are being encouraged not to travel for Thanksgiving, not to travel for Christmas, and for God's sakes, not to travel to Times Square, not Times Squares. I'm getting mixed up with Hollywood Squares and Times Square. And don't watch the big ball drop in Times Square this year, because I don't think they're even going to allow it. I think they just close off Times Square probably. Oh. And the best you can do is watch it from your $1,500 hotel room in New York City.
If you want to do that.
That's going to be really rough.
It is going to be rough.
Very rough. Hey, so when it comes to things like courses, what we have been considering is the idea that people will be available to participate in and to watch videos, as well as practice their live streaming during Thanksgiving and the beginning of the holiday season, because nowadays with in our pandemic times, with various lockdowns going on, a lot of us are pretty much stuck, and maybe it's going to be a welcome relief to push yourself away from the turkey table and catch up on what you may have missed, at least on Thanksgiving Day. But we are going to not stop moving forward, because to do so would be to give in to inertia. Give it into is an interesting word. Yeah, because sometimes it doesn't apply. We're not going to give in to inertia, and instead move forward with momentum into the new year.
Indeed we are.
Yeah. So anything else that you want to talk about at this point? Or are we going to just save it for Friday?
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about anything you like.
All right. What do you want to talk about? Let's talk about some of our spectacular failures.
Oh my gosh.
I don't mind talking about a couple of those. I actually wound up creating 2 different courses that were in anywhere from, one of them was only $49 and the other one was $1,997. So basically a $2,000 course. And I sent out tons of emails. I did all kinds of marketing, only to find out that once I launched it, it was crickets. Now, I will say it wasn't a total failure, because I learned a lot about course creation. But what I also learned about was that even in the midst of not selling anything, I wound up developing an email list, which to this day is a very valuable asset. So those were mine. The other course I'm totally revamping is Insta Patients, and it wasn't only getting new patients from Instagram. It was actually talking about attracting new patients from various forms of social media, not just Instagram. And I love the name Insta Patients because it sort of implies immediate gratification, even though it does take a lot of work. So with that in mind, I actually may even roll over that course as a bonus into my coaching program, which is going to start in the new year. We'll see.
I got hacked
We shall see.
twice.
What's that?
I got hacked twice during a big launch or promotional period.
Oh, that's right. You got the hackers. Was that for your Facebook
One time
ad
it was
account?
my website, and there was that too. I got my Facebook ad account got hacked, and then I had one time my link shortener got hacked, and people were putting up not very nice links. So we'll leave it at that.
That can happen. I just saw for the first time today, because I belong to the group Wayne Wandering Aimfully, which is Jason and Caroline Zook's group. They had a really interesting concept years ago, which was Buy My Future. That was Jason's original thing. And Buy My Future was just if you spent like $1,000 with him or something like that, you literally got to buy everything that he created from that day forward. It was probably the biggest bargain I have ever encountered amongst internet marketers, or in this case, business coaches. Yeah. It's a great concept, and they have rebranded. They changed it from Buy My Future to Buy Our Future. To Wandering Aimfully, where they just combine two businesses together, since they are now husband and wife, into a single business coaching entity. And they refer to it as unboring coaching, and it is definitely unboring. So with that in mind, I think what's interesting when you mentioned hacking, as part of their most recent launch, which was the fall launch, they changed their website, their landing page, to pretend that it had been hacked by somebody else who was posting other things. But the wording was remarkably similar to what they were doing. And it was very interesting. And it did attract new buyers with the pretend hack of their offer page. Very interesting. I've got to go back and look at those screenshots, because I thought, wow, you should basically create a stir amongst internet marketers and other business people by pretending that your site had been hacked.
I always think that that's not a typical thing to have happen, but then I've seen it happen to quite a few other people.
Well, I don't know, but genuine hacking I have seen take place.
Yes.
Yeah. So aside from having, so you had your Facebook ad account hacked.
And Facebook is horrible trying to get support from. So
well, that's true.
Yeah. Hopefully that improves somewhere along.
That could change into the topic for the marketing unhappy hour.
I know. I was listening to Mari Smith the other day saying the same thing. A lot of people commented on losing ad accounts and the fact that there's no support there to get things fixed.
Well, you can, and this is why I've gotten this from Mari Smith and a few other people. I think Rachel Miller too, which is you need to have multiple ad accounts in case one might get hacked, another one might get shut down, and you also need to have more than one business manager for the very same reason. You may have your business manager account hacked into, and lose 3 ad accounts, in which case you're out of luck. But you would have a separate business manager account where you could still have other ad accounts. So that's a word to the wise that I have picked up on and heard from more than one person over the last 3 weeks.
A lot of people as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, which I passed along to my wife, who created yet another business manager.
Never hurts.
So what other spectacular failures do you have to report? You were hacked twice?
I was hacked twice.
Is the Facebook ad account the third hack, or is that just
third hack?
Oh, that's the third hack. What's the second one?
So one was a WordPress site.
Oh.
Second one was my my link shortener.
Yeah.
The third one was what we're just talking Facebook.
Yeah. Okay.
That was a recent one.
Yikes.
It's crazy.
I was checking to see in our groups. This is the one thing about StreamYard that I'm like, Jordan.
People talk about there.
Jordan Michael Thomas. At least he loved our little broadcast. That's always good to get a heart. Please give us hearts.
Yes, we love those.
We love you too.
Yep, we do indeed.
People stop by. It's interesting too, because we get most of our stuff and interaction on the replays. It happens all the time.
It does more now because I think people are so preoccupied with the fact that, you know, their kids are going to school on Zoom. Everything they're doing is on video. They're having meetings with, you know, for business, for work, whatever it might be. And they don't have time to watch it like when we're on. So they're like watching us later.
Yeah. And it's there's
a lot more of that, I think, because of that. But the good news is they still need things to watch.
Yeah, you'll get 70, 80, 150 or more views, but in the future.
Yes.
And that's even from ones where there's only one person actually live.
Right? Yeah, I know. Yeah, we've had like a couple people watch us live, and then all the real views come later.
So-called real. I mean, every view is a view.
Well, so, yeah.
I mean, I'll take anyone anytime.
They're all real.
They're breathing. We used to joke all the time if they were breathing and they had a credit card, we would take them on. But as you get more sophisticated in your marketing, especially if you're doing consulting work, as you get more sophisticated, what you begin to realize is you're not going to take everybody who's breathing and with a credit card, because some people
all the big filters.
Yeah, money is not worth it. That's why sometimes we'll put together application funnels, because you really don't want to talk to everybody. No. And it's very important to be incredibly selective. I mean, in my practice, when I first started out in the DC area, spent 28 years there, I would take anybody who just shows up at the office. And after a while, I started firing patients. And it's really funny because I even fired a Washington Redskin, now known as the Washington football team. And he wouldn't fill out the forms. And he says, "Don't you know who I am?" It's like, "No, I really don't, because I'm a Buffalo Bills fan." I think his heart sank that I didn't know who he was.
Surprised it didn't hurt you.
And so, so I fired him. I said, "I'm sorry, I really can't help you if you don't want to fill out the forms." And he came back the very next day with a completed form.
Oh my God.
Pretty interesting. So you can get a guy who was, I'm not sure if he was a Hall of Famer or a near Hall of Famer. I'll have to look him up later, but I'm not going to reveal his name. But just the very fact that he came back, not so much with his tail tucked between his legs, but just that he came back and actually was compliant. He was great after that, because I think he just wasn't used to somebody saying no to him. They were most people were used to having him autograph something as opposed to saying, "Fill out this form."
Yeah, everybody wants the shortcut.
Yeah.
Sometimes there are no shortcuts, and especially when you're busy, you got to know that stuff. So
yeah, and that's why, I mean, I will admit that my term for my program, Insta-Patients, may have been a little bit misleading, but they're not instant patients. It was just that you could use Instagram, you could use Twitter, you could use any number of social media platforms to get more clients, get more patients, get more customers to your business. So. And naming, as we come up with nomenclature, it's really interesting to come up with brand names for different products, as well as figure out what your brand is. So your Targeted Net Solutions, I finally remembered it.
Targeted Net Solutions.
That only took, let's see, from March till now, it only took 7 months for me to remember the name.
I think we're going to go over a big rebranding over the holidays, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So do you want to be called Untargeted Net Solutions?
Well, we might have to run through that in an episode. We'll have to talk about the.
Rebranding is very interesting. I mean, I've been going through some of that. I have one client in particular. It's a little out of my niche because I'm used to more local businesses. Well, this particular individual. I'm not going to name them. And this is a very different project for me and for can you remember the name of Maximize Your Media? I'm going through a rebranding for my coaching program, which is it's like so many brands, so little time. And just the process of branding and getting the brand messages down and getting the values that your brand represents, as well as even the fonts that you choose, the colors that you have, and everything else. It's a very challenging thing because you want to cut through the noise on the interwebs and be noticed by people, because there's just a ton of noise right now, particularly as we approach next week's election, our quadrennial presidential election. It's very difficult to cut through the noise, which is almost why I actually think that, delaying our launch for our particular product is maybe a good idea, just because we're not competing for election attention. But you come to recognize that no matter what you do, there's always going to be something coming up. Maybe people are so focused, they're all focused on Arbor Day that they're not going to,
And even though things aren't perfect, it doesn't mean to say that you're completely tied to something. So, for instance,
no.
It's easy to relaunch or to do
Well,
another.
and this one for us is a seed launch, or as some people might refer to it as a base launch, seed launch, almost like a focus group type of launch.
Yeah.
And what we're after is getting our lovely guinea pigs, in quotes, because we're not really experimenting on them, but we are going to see what content. Well, actually, we are experimenting. We're seeing which pieces of content work the best, get the feedback on which pieces of content need to be improved, and create what is essentially an experiential digital product, which we later sell at a much higher price. So.
But no living animals will be harmed during this experiment.
No actual guinea pigs were harmed in the production of this digital product / coaching product. So it's important to know. We will kill no buffalo before their time. So that's part of the process that we're going through right now is figuring out launch dates and calendars and stuff. And I have my lovely wife Maggie, who you know from Mom and Maggie's Kitchen. She's launching another product. She launched her tamales course, which you were kind enough to purchase, as well as a lot of other people. I was surprised at how many people purchased initially, but we gave them a significant discount. I mean, it was pretty much over. It was almost 75%, something like that, close to that discount. And then there's another course coming out, which I won't mention the name of, but that's coming out in a few weeks also. And once that one goes out, then there's one that follows that one. So this is like a series of launches for her. So I am getting more experience in launching products. It's just not my own individual product.
I hope it's the Jicama cookbook.
It's not the Jicama cookbook. That would be really great. Are you getting a lot of jicama?
I'm still getting quite a bit of jicama.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is it because it's a root vegetable and they all come out in the winter, or easy to store?
No idea. It's not so easy to store either.
Oh, it isn't? I didn't realize jicama was fragile.
It seems to be fairly fragile. Not super fragile, but it's not lasting as long as I thought it would last, some of it.
I just remember eating a lot of jicama around here, in particular putting tahini on it or other types of things.
Yeah, the one recipe I saw that looked great was jicama with lime and chili. Lime and chili.
That's what we've had, actually. Jicama with lime. The chili, tahini is a mixture of chili.
Yes. I got a bunch of limes right now, and that could be the one. Could be the chosen one.
Did you say the chosen one?
The chosen one.
It's like the golden child or something.
Yeah.
Very interesting. So when I think it's interesting because when it comes to marketing, you had this or still have this company, which are irregular organic products. So how do they market themselves? I thought that was kind of interesting. Misfits
Market.
Who would name their product Misfits Market?
It's genius, really.
Yeah.
It's genius. I'll tell you a story. Yeah. When I was working on my family farm, when I was just a young lad.
A wee tyke.
And we would take our stuff over to the market or to the packing plant.
Yeah.
I remember them taking, and only the very perfect vegetables go to market.
Right.
You would not believe how much stuff is imperfect. So the fact that a company realized that and said, "Man, there's all this stuff going to waste.
Right.
Let's do something about it," I think is brilliant. We've been saying it for years. And the other thing too is it's so nice to eat like completely organic. So it's a very affordable way to go completely organic and get organic vegetables and fruit all the time. It's great.
Well, right, because once you chop it all up or cook it, you don't see the original skin and packing.
It really doesn't matter when you eat it.
No.
That's what we used to say all the time. It's like, why does all this good stuff get thrown away? The point is, it really doesn't matter. So who cares if your pickles are crooked or your carrots, or they still eat the same.
I will buy no crooked pickle.
They're ugly is all. I can eat ugly vegetables all day long. No problem.
A crooked pickle is just criminal.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So what does their logo look like? Because I don't remember it.
That is a good question. I'm trying to remember what it looks like off the top of my head.
It makes me want to do a screen share. Like, let me just look for it now while you talk. So you had this experience growing up on the farm of doing this.
I did, and then a friend of mine recommended it, and it came up, and I said, I'm going to try that out, because right now, trying to find good vegetables of good quality at the store is really hard.
Misfit Market, singular or plural?
It's Misfits Market.
Oh, Misfits.
Market.com, I think. But yeah, so it's a great experiment. They've had their growing pains. It's been interesting to watch them. One of their biggest ones was
interesting. So immediately what pops up is an ad from a competitor, which is Farm Fresh to You. That's interesting that they're targeting people who are looking for Misfits Market.
It's the same thing that Burger King did with people at McDonald's, right? Show me.
Yeah, exactly.
McDonald's for Whopper. Hey.
What it reminds me too is when it comes to marketing is like that Dunkin' Donuts wound up locating. They saved tons of money on marketing research by just locating wherever there was a McDonald's. So America runs on Dunkin' because they just kept locating within a small radius of a McDonald's.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I always thought that was just fascinating to me. So I'm going to try to go to the right screen in the Chrome tab here. Let's take a look at them. It's interesting. I don't really see. Let me go over here. There we go. So I really don't see a particular. I'm going to not see you. I'm not going to see you for a moment, but there's really the logo. Really, is just the words.
The words. It's
the font that they chose under Misfits. It isn't a regular font, though. That actually is pretty good. That's pretty smart.
Yeah.
So they didn't, but you can see what I like is looking at all these. That pepper just doesn't look right.
I do think there is a logo on the back. So unfortunately, I don't have one right in front of me.
That's okay. So, I think it's interesting. Do some good. I think it's the whole thing. The brand messaging is really clear. Do some good.
The messaging is great.
Yeah. It's a pledge to help fix a broken food system, it makes total sense because all this stuff gets thrown out all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Choose your base size. Yeah.
There it is right there.
Ah, there it is. Well, it's just an irregular looking.
It's just an irregular looking pepper. Yellow pepper, I think.
I actually think that the font, the irregular font is probably what works the best.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so we just decided that was something to take a look at. See? Yeah. And that and more is what you can expect on every episode.
The beauty is
Marketing Happy Hour. Anything marketing.
If you get stuff you'd like us to take a look at and comment on.
We could actually. We could do not necessarily hot seats, but we could do discussions on different marketing methods, what works, what doesn't work.
Talk about different things in advertising. We've had a lot of discussion about advertising lately.
Oh, yeah. New Coke versus classic Coke.
Yeah, because we've been talking about advertising with Facebook and my friend Ed Winslow. We've been talking about his 10x display ads because he's been doing a lot of display ads for real estate and local businesses.
And every manner of banner.
Right. And I also have Tribe OS that I'm looking at their advertising.
Who do what?
Tribe OS. Their claim to fame is that they've seen a lot of fraud in advertising.
Oh, yeah. Like people clicking through and bots clicking ads and stuff.
And they've developed a system to eliminate the fraud.
That sounds really good.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was checking for somebody else here. Okay, they like that. They like that. Yeah. So we just basically, gosh, that's not bad. We had a little under a half hour. Not bad considering we're just announcing that we're moving to Friday. So we'll figure out what topics we're going to be covering. But you're always welcome to put your comments, put your questions in here. You can even send us private messages through the page, which we now have, which is called The Marketing Happy Hour on the Book of Faces, or sometimes I refer to it as Zookbook, just because it rhymes.
It does.
And we're also available here too. You can put comments on YouTube underneath the. Yeah, it's interesting. I just realized I'm just broadcasting to YouTube on my professional channel. We don't really have a separate channel for the Marketing Happy Hour. I need to correct that. And then direct it so that we have a specific YouTube channel for the Marketing Happy Hour. On my list of tasks to do, the 94 items on my to-do list.
It's the cat hour.
It's the cat hour.
It's the cat hour.
It's not Catterday yet. Don't confuse Hump Day. I put a camel on it. Unless that cat has a hump, it's not supposed to be.
Saturday. Could.
Catterday. Catterday. Catterday is actually my wife's favorite holiday.
Just
she goes through nothing but cat memes and cat videos on Catterday to her following, and her following has just been exploding. I think in part because of Instagram Live and TikTok of all things. I mean, yeah, TikTok is just she's rocking TikTok, and she's rocking the Reels. The Instagram Reels turns out to be very popular.
Oh, that's cool.
I think we both need to get real with Reels at some point. But there's so many different platforms and so many different things to think about. Right. For me, I just established a small TikTok account. Suddenly, did one TikTok and got like 15 followers, and I did nothing other than just one little TikTok. So we may check on that in the future, because I know Gary Vee says that's the place you want to be right now. It's kind of like where Instagram was, say, 5 years ago. But there's only so much you can post in 15 seconds.
That's true.
Well, you have to get really good at succinct short form video, which is another thing that we'll be teaching once we release our beta course. Is it alpha or beta? It's almost like it's alpha.
I guess it could be.
I don't know. People, sometimes people, one of the things they object to is people get beta testers, and they'll charge you like $1,000 to beta test a course that they will indeed later sell for maybe $2,000 or $4,000 or something. But it almost seems like you want to reward your beta testers with a significant discount, which we will do, in fact, if you are indeed a healthcare professional.
We will indeed.
Yeah, at least for the first round.
Yeah, I remember I did that for a company that will remain nameless. Over the years, I've been an alpha tester or beta tester for a number of companies, but they went from alpha to beta, and it's almost like they took advantage of the alpha testers who got them started and charged us more.
You charge more for the alpha testers? That just seems wrong in so many ways.
We ended up paying more for the product than the original launch. I'm not going to say who that was.
So
pretty big company.
One of my friends, John Settle, who's been in internet marketing since there was an internet, he's in the San Diego area here. He and I attended a program in Orlando several years ago, where there was a VIP mastermind and there was a regular program, and the VIP mastermind material was identical to the regular program, and we felt totally cheated at having spent several times more for the so-called mastermind. Yeah. He referred to it as, he said these are a bunch of young guys, and he said, this is what happens when you have a program that is run by children.
Some people would just say capitalism.
It wasn't capitalism. It was beta and switcherooism. And so don't do that. Don't present a premium program to people in your marketing and then deliver the identical material to a large group. And I think that particular one was difficult from a marketing standpoint, because it was supposed to be an exclusive group of perhaps, I think it was 30 people. And there were to be 10 people per table in this marketing group. Right. And one of the principals was going to be at each of those tables, and we were going to each have time to discuss our individual businesses. So instead, when we arrived, they were rolling in more and more tables, to the point where I think it was, instead of 30 tables, there were 71 tables. And instead of having one key marketing person at each of those tables, it was a presentation not from stage, but from the front of the room by individual marketers. And so there was no truth in advertising, no truth in marketing. And most people left that event with a very bitter taste.
Ooh, my favorite one that gave me a bitter taste is this webinar marketing event. Yeah. It was going on for a while. A lot of my friends participated, and it was couched as a big learning environment, and no pitch, and all it was pitch after pitch after pitch after pitch for hours. I finally just unsubscribed and got off of that. And
I mean, I'm totally okay if somebody's going to spend an hour delivering at least maybe They don't even have to deliver 45 minutes of content. If they deliver a half hour, I'm pretty happy to listen to them. If they do a 15-minute pitch and maybe 15-minute Q&A, that type of thing. But
even the hour-long content was like a pitch.
Well, yeah, you can't have the whole hour-long content.
You can't have the whole thing be like giant pitch. So
that's when I go to my favorite phrase and hashtag, which is "son of a pitch."
Exactly. Oh my gosh.
I realized I actually had come up with that several years ago, and it works whenever I'm in a live broadcast and I drop it into the chat. People start rolling on the floor laughing. But it is, if you pitch, I think the key is always to deliver your marketing, particularly nowadays, deliver value first, and you even can ask, do I have your permission at the end of this to give you an offer? Or to make an offer. And I think if you're very transparent and very upfront about it, and that you actually do deliver content that is actionable, or at least get somebody thinking strategically instead of opportunistically, that it's totally worth hanging around.
Yeah, I'd have no problem with that.
Hey, so our quick announcement today turned out to be 36 minutes. So I think we're going to sign off at this point. and get chatting again. We'll probably have an equivalent length on Friday as we begin to get our sea legs of figuring out what the Friday schedule is going to feel like. So we're actually going to be an hour earlier on Fridays, and then we push our clocks back an hour. Well, that'll be very interesting to see what your lighting is going to be, John. So I think you're going to have to adjust your lighting.
Probably.
Particularly the Friday after we change our clocks.
Yeah, it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark here now, pitch black.
Yeah, so we are going to put together, we already put together the video series. We just need to launch the video series. And those of you who have been watching us faithfully, we'll let you tune into that, as well as those of you who are in our group called Health Broadcasters. Mm-hmm. And you're always welcome to join that group, Health Broadcasters. Just send us a little mention saying, hey, I'd like to join, and as long as you are a bona fide healthcare practitioner, we will let you in. We have had to reject a couple of marketing people. It's not because we don't like you. It's just because we want to have an environment where doctors and other healthcare practitioners, we've had a number of nurse practitioners and others who have joined, feel comfortable in that environment where we can actually share stories. In fact, swap war stories about what it's like to deal with patients and other clients. So
exactly.
Yeah. And it's a safe environment where your fellow healthcare practitioners are not going to be criticizing you. We will be giving you feedback on things that you might want to consider to improve, but we don't know everything, and you will probably teach us a thing or two along the way. So
probably at least one or two things.
At least one or two things. You got that. All right. So tune in this coming Friday. You can see on that little rolling thing. This is the first time I've actually used this little rolling ticker. Yeah. So we will be here at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific, everywhere in between, including those of you in Hawaii, which will actually, no, those of you in Hawaii will be 11 a.m. I did get it wrong. They are now 11 a.m. Oh, well, I will correct this later.
In Arizona Smart.
Hawaii apparently is smart too, because they're at 11 now, and when we change from they're at noon when we're in this time frame, and then when we move to 2, they will actually be at noon. So it always confused me, because living on the East Coast, I always knew it was a 5-hour difference to Hawaii. Only to my surprise, it turned out to be actually 6 hours during the summertime. But I never went to Hawaii in the summertime. I always waited till the winter.
Of course.
All right.
It's the best time to get out of.
It's the best time to get out of Dodge. So we're going to get out of Dodge right now and end this broadcast today. So come back on Friday for our new old time of 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern, and everywhere in between. And bring along your own beverage, because it will be Friday.
Exactly.
And we'll be happy to see you then. All right. Bye for now.
Comment with what you want us to talk about too.
Comment. We'll talk. We'll consider your suggestions.
We will.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.